welcome to Nuts and Jokes Dugout Discussions. And with us, we have a very special guest today, Major Ainangshu Hajra. And he has been part of the Indian Army or ex athlete with है.
Okay, yes. So, am I audible to you all?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, nice meeting you all, and it's great to be on this platform. I never thought in my life that I'll be on air and people will be listening to me. So it's good that you all thought that I would be a I might be a good contributor to your show. So happy to be here. So as I heard that you wanted to speak about the upcoming Tokyo Olympics, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, great.
So, आपको क्या लगता है हमारे मेडल प्रोस्पेक्ट्स क्या है इस साल?
So what is more important to you, that we progress as a nation, or few individuals, or a few teams come back with medals?
A
This
few individuals.
so I mean, you need not answer this question right now, but you might like to hear me out about my perspective. So far for India, the best Olympics run-up had been in London Olympics 2012 with the maximum number of medals. But for me, the 2016 Olympics was a greater show than the 2012 Olympics. Reason being, you had maximum people in the final eight in 2016 Olympics. So that actually quantifies the performance of a country, not on the medal tally, but in a long term perspective. So when you have multiple people in the final rounds, why I'm saying final rounds, don't take it as the football or hockey, or even boxing, wrestling, wherein I'm counting people in the final rounds. You would contest that there are only two people in the final rounds. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the final rounds of most of the games in which you have eight participants: athletics, swimming, gymnastics, uh, what else? So mm, maybe more. I'm unable to recollect right now. So basically, if you look at it in a manner, it's reaching the quarterfinals. Reaching the quarterfinals for most of the sports is a great thing, and converting them to individual sports in athletics, swimming, uh, and athletics, swimming, and few other sports wherein eight participants participate at the final rounds directly. So that's how I look at it. So we had huge number of participants in the who ranked in the final eight in the 2016 Olympics. So this actually sets a tune for your forthcoming years. That how do you see your youngsters performing? How do you see the sports scenario in your country changing? So that was pretty interesting to watch. That we had lot many people in the final eight rankings. So basically, final eight rankings, if you see roughly, it is final eight world ranking. If I look at it, so being in the final eight in so many events in world ranking is a great thing to happen, and that is what paves your road to medal in the days to come. I don't know why we all went silent. So,
Like I was just trying to listen to you, so I guess the Zion must be really thinking about the question that you have asked him. So most likely when he was trying to get the insight that you just poured. Uh,
so maybe I was not asking the question to him. Maybe it was for your audience as well. That what is more important. So, is it is was it less important reaching the World Cup finals for the Indian team, which later on went on to keep winning trophies one after the other? Because that final. I think it was 2003 Cricket World Cup final in which India lost to Australia. That was basically setting the tune for the forthcoming years. That we still continue, even after 18 years, we continue to dominate the scene. That's how. That reaching the right place is more important than getting the medal. That's
I completely agree with you actually, and because I don't know what will be others' perspectives, but like of talking with a few people, I have had the opportunity of interviewing few people, and whomever I have asked this question, that what do you think is more important? Is it a medal or is it the performance that will build on the future of Indians in the Olympics? Sadly, 99% of the answers have been medals. So I personally feel I am kind of very disheartened to see that the outlook out here for the Indian fans about Olympics is extremely narrow. They Because to be honest, when I asked them that do you really know what it takes or what is it that is needed in a journey to first qualify for the Olympics, the answer was very minimal. I mean, for them, it was like, see, right now, when you are performing at the Olympics, we do not know what you have put behind. The past is past. What we want you to claim or is to make our nation proud. So my response to them was like, don't you think that already competing at that level with the best athletes and the best sports person in the world is an achievement in itself? Like probably not all the time you can go ahead and win the medal. So since you asked this question to the audience, I don't know what would be their answer. I would really like to look forward to their answer in the comment section. But being honest, I personally haven't had a very pleasing and a savory experience when I asked this question, because uh, right now it's kind of like the outlook right now is very narrow. It's like a zero or a one. They are turning it into a binary world, that either it's a zero or either it's a one. There's no middle way, there's no decimal, there's no gray area. And that is where they are mistaken, because a lot of gray area comes into the focus in order for any sports person to build his story, to build his career, to build that journey to that medal. So, like, I would like to mention, like last time when Deepa came fourth in gymnastics in Olympics, people were disheartened at the fact that she didn't grab a medal, but nobody highlighted the fact that she successfully completed the vault of death, the Produnova vault, which is ideally so far has been completed by 5 gymnasts successfully at the moment. And it was really a pain when I like when people kept on ranting at the fact that why don't Indians want to win that medal? What is wrong? Why is are we faltering in the fourth or the fifth stage? So if this is the kind of mentality, I guess that is one of the root causes why India is faltering at that stage. Because in the first place, if we don't even know what has she performed, what has she achieved, I don't think that gives us the right to rant in the first place, because in order to go ahead and underline someone's performance, may it be a medal winning performance or a medal contending performance or even a qualification performance, we will have to be aware of the entire journey that that person has been through.
very true. And see, there are few things what we need to accept at times. If you look at the medal winning trends of different countries, so genetically, people from different countries, different topographies, different ethnic background have certain or other genetic benefits and disadvantages. So uh, basically, broadly defining human physique is in three forms: ectomorph, endomorph, and mesomorphs. So, like if I look at the long distance African runners, they are all ectomorphs. If I look at the huge uh, Russians and uh, ex-Soviet countries, throwers and wrestlers, all these people are mesomorphs. And somewhere we Indians stand between ectomorphs and endomorphs. So that is how, like, basically all these kind of body has certain advantages which pushes them forward to excel in certain kind of sports. Now, genetically not inheriting those advantages, you can't tell me that okay, if KD Yadav could do 75 years back, why can't we do it today? So there are differences that KD Yadav had done at an era where the competition used to be no undoubtedly at a lesser level to me. There is no question on what he has achieved because he because during those days he didn't have 1% of the 1% of access to facilities that our sportsmen have today. There is no denial of that. But again, if you look at the level of competition, that has increased way more from the countries which were active part of the world wars, who were during those times somehow struggling to survive, somehow struggling to meet all their ends meet as a nation. So if you look at it from that point of view, yes, the competitions were less compared to what we have today. Secondly, involvement of science in sports, what we have today, is again at a way different level. Now the volume of science that goes into making a sportsman, that was not involved during the during 50, 60, 70 years back. So it was pure practice, it was pure determination, nutrition. A lot had to do about your access to the basic sports goods. Those things actually were deciding factor. Today, given that most of our Olympians have access to this, today the defining factors would be how much science had been invested into each individual, how much uh, how much medical applications has been done over last 4 or 5 years on every individual to excel them. Now, like uh, even some not too many years back, say some 20, 25 years back, many of the sportsmen used to go to the coastal areas or to the highlands to practice before competitions. So that used to be the level of science that we could visualize. While now, if you look, then every single I'm talking about sports stars. I'm not talking about sportsmen in general who have limitations. I'm talking about those sports stars who have everything sponsored or who can afford the things which are not sponsored but are essential. So now, if I look having a specialized training for someone of the same caliber of David Beckham in India, do we think that we will have someone of the same caliber of David Beckham playing at the Olympics level just after fracturing his leg, and within 3 weeks he is again back playing at the world levels? It is not likely to happen. So, and it's not to blame the government, or it's not to blame the organizations which are pioneering these sports, but somehow it has not happened. But yes, I am pretty hopeful looking at the trend over last 10, 12 years. I'm pretty hopeful that sports in India is in right hands in most of the cases. And that's how we have progressed a lot in a manner that earlier, uh, or like Olympics qualification is generally for individual performances. Olympic qualification is generally what it used to be, the eighth position in the previous Olympics. In spite of not having those performances, Indian team used to send athletes without meeting those marks. So now we have come out of that era. Now we have people going for Olympics only after clearing those marks without much favoritism. I'm not saying favoritism is not there. There may be favoritism. There may be clashes. There may be ego issues which had been spoiling careers of sportsmen. But larger picture, if I see, the ratio has certainly reduced, and involvement of some of the key sports persons in the sports councils, this is increasing. We have something known as Olympic Gold Quest. So you can just Google for it. Olympic Gold Quest had been one of the pioneers in last 7-8 years that I had seen in identifying the medal prospects for Olympic. That is how the Olympic Gold Quest sponsored sportsmen, uh, or the people who had been initially sponsored and later on got sponsored by the big corporates. Olympics Gold Quest had a great handholding in that entire journey. So basically, the I would say very frankly that Olympic Gold Quest had done greater greater work in terms of bringing hope to the sportsmen in the country than the Indian Olympics Association. So Indian Olympics Association is like like the umbrella organization who is involved with all the sports federations and finally takes the call that which team is going, how many sports persons are going from each team. So that's how it is. But they can come up only if organizations like Olympic Gold Quest have pumped in so much of effort in each of them.
Thank you, Ananda. So, like you mentioned, I'd just like to add one small thing here. You know, sports in India is kind of driven by moral science. Now, why exactly am I saying this? In moral science, there used to be, there's something called poetic justice. Like we are very, very accustomed to the fact where we very proudly say that it is poetic justice. Now, how exactly does it happen? If you would go by the social media trends, if you would follow the comments on our sports pages or posts, uh, ideally, people are always coming up with these statements. Look, in those times, people didn't have this much of like facility, and yet they manage to go to that level. And look at these times, people have so much facility, but still they cannot manage to go at a higher level. Now, that is exactly where your point fits in, because people are unaware of the availability of science right now. Data science has played a massive role. It has played a titanic role in imposing a paradigm shift in the sports canon. And that is something which people is not aware of. And at the same time, the amount of competitions, like you said, the amount of competitions have become a lot more stiffer. And why exactly is it so? Because the availability that Indians have right now, I believe it's almost a similar kind of availability that even participants from other nations are getting. So they at the same time are also coming together, using that to the fullest availability. So that is exactly why I personally believe if we Indians can look at a sporting perspective with a sporting eye instead of going ahead and judging it via moral science and all those preconceived notions, those were ingrained in us when we were kids. I believe that can be a major step in India becoming much more successful in any other sports other than cricket, chess, and kabaddi. In fact, even chess has also taken a back seat right now. So it's more like in kabaddi, India is the ultimate king, that's for
And
sure.
badminton,
And in cricket, sorry,
badminton, and badminton.
and badminton again, there's a lot of competition. If you see, India is not the ultimate king. Like badminton, yes, PV Sindhu has been pumping a great job out there, and we believe that this time she can be really
But we have
like
progressed a
she
lot.
we have
But we have
progressed a
progressed
lot.
a lot.
That is what Aurangzeb is trying to put forward. That what is more important? Is it the progress or is it that one individual medal event? Because at times that medal event can even be a fluke. Like let's just take I won't say fluke. I guess that's a very harsh term to use, but it can be a one-off. But at the same time, if you focus on the progress, probably even if you miss out on the medals this time, but from next time onwards, you can definitely be going forward and putting your best foot forward to clinch those medals.
Yeah. So, how many medals India will win? What do you think?
So,
Ananda, would you like to go forward? Yeah, sure.
okay, this is some question like we were having 3 months back. How many seats BJP will win? These to me uh, certain things that we need to wait and watch. So, to me, how many medals India is going to win might be a secondary thing, but to me, how many medal prospects we have, that is more important. Now, I'll just remind you of Saina Nehwal's bronze medal, in case any of you had seen that match. So she was declared the winner when her opponent had an injury and had to be taken out of the court. So does can we take that credit away from her by any chance? Because both of them had put in equal effort in reaching the semifinals. So now both of them lost in their respective semifinals and were playing for the third position. So now just taking the same example, 2016 Olympics, similar case was like got compensated against Vinesh Fogart. So in 2016 Olympics on the wrestling mat, I saw Vinesh Fogart to be the best in the world. I didn't see anyone better than her in the women's category that year. But somehow it got compensated against her. And now if I look at Vinesh Fogart this year, she is much more she has come much more experienced, much more strong. To me, she's one of the best key prospects. Apart from Vinesh Fogart, both Bajrang Punia and Bajrang Punia and
Deepak
Deepak.
Punia, I guess.
Yes,
Deepak.
Bajrang
Yeah.
Punia, Deepak Punia, both are medal prospects to me. So wrestling is something from where I would expect to see all four medals, even Ravi Kumar. These are the four people who ranks in the top four in the world.
Will India
So
miss Sakshi Malik?
it's not about if India needs Sakshi Malik. Has Sakshi Malik qualified in her
No,
category? That I'm not
no,
sure.
no, no.
So
She lost to, yeah.
are you asking whether she was still needed? Right. So see, these are very subjective discussions. That how can I say if India needs Sakshi Malik? Because the certain parameters were set. Like if you say that India needed Sakshi Malik, then you will say that India needed Sushil Kumar as well. Please get him out on bail, and then he should go for Olympics. So these can't be the parameters, because certain parameters were set on which, yes, unluckily people get left out. For example, Rohan Bopanna and Sania Mirza is not going for the mixed
Even
doubles.
Hima Das in the
Okay,
athletics.
okay, I'll come to Himadas. Just a second. So now Rohan Bopanna and Sania Mirza, they are not going for the mixed doubles pair. So to me, that was again another medal prospect, given the amount of doubles tennis both of them had played. Both of them had played together, and the kind of experience they have. So we had seen in the past that in Indian doubles team had done uh, pretty well compared to the single players, because of the continuous because of the continuous because of the continuous chance of playing with each other. That's how it is. Now, see, again, just picking up a random name is not a great thing to do. Like, why are we talking about Hima Das? We right now we got better women in the 400 meters team who are running the 400 meters women's relay, who are free of injury. While Hima Das had been with injury, Hima Das had not been able to recover fully. Yes, she continues to be a great talent, and she has a lot of sports left in her. So, like how she came to limelight was by being the junior world champion. But there is difference that being a junior world champion and not being sustainable, being with frequent injuries, that has taken away many star athletes who had been doing great at junior level but couldn't survive at the senior levels, where you need to perform and outperform yourself for 6 to 8 or even 10 years.
Absolutely. Like, Ananda, this is a very important point which you said, that sustainability has been a major point for Indians. And a few things that you really pointed, that the most beautiful part of your last statement was that it isn't wise to say how many medal winners will we have, but it is more important to say that how many medal winning prospects do we have. I mean, this is something which is, understanding the difference is extremely important between declaring a medal winner and declaring a medal winning prospect. Because a medal winning prospect, I would just like to make it clear that a medal winning prospect may or may not go ahead and achieve that, but be rest assured of the fact that the performance that person will be putting in will be absolutely top notch. So you will have to root for that performance. If you're looking forward to a medal, if not in this Olympics in the future, you'll have to look forward to that person's performance. So that is why it is very important to know the difference. I'm pretty sure most of us will be asking, like, the most common question in these kind of talk shows or any articles that we have been working upon is, who will be India's medal winners? Like, very few people say that yes, they are India's medal winning prospects, and the fact that we already are extremely bullish about the fact that yes, they are going to be medal winners, and when they do not return with those medals, that is when we subject our entire hatred and animosity towards them, saying that they have failed the nation once again. They have not been able to live up to the heightened sense of billing that has been saddled onto them. That is something which is really sad. Coming to Deepthan's question, who will be the medal winners? Again, I will also go with Ananda, like, who will be the medal winning prospects? I am really expecting, like Ananda said, I am really expecting medals from the wrestling department, to be honest. Like, India has got the best of wrestlers at the moment, especially with the Punias. Then, like, Bajrang Punia, I believe that he can be a gold medal contender. And at the same time, Deepak Punia has been doing very decently as well. Alongside that, if you would ask me, there's others like Vinesh Phogat, as Ananda mentioned. The Vinesh Phogat is one of the best wrestlers at the moment, and she is also one of the fastest. But then once again, you never know. These are contact sports, okay? So in case of contact and combat sports, anything can happen at any point in time. Probably even if you are you have put in the best of performances, you have brushed aside the best of oppositions, and you have reached the semi-final. Somewhere down the line in the semi-final, you slip up. So because these are like individual moments of madness. These are not the entire. This is not about the entire collective billions that we will be focusing on. These are like small moments of slip up, small moments of grabbing that glory and finally surging forward. So, yet I would believe that Vinesh Phogat and the Punia brothers will definitely, and not the Punia brothers, the two Punias, I believe they will be medal contenders, because that is very important, and because this is like a massive stage for them to once again perform. And I believe Vinesh Phogat, this is like Vinesh Phogat, according to Indians' words, this is like Vinesh Phogat's shot at redemption. But I don't really think she deserves a shot at redemption, because she hasn't done anything wrong. She was electrifying in the last Olympics too. Sadly, she was marred by an injury, and that's an unfortunate event. That can happen to anyone at any point in time. And like, again, Ananda mentioned, she is in a much better shape this time, and she has been practicing real hard to reach this stage. So I'm kind of assured that if once again something tragic doesn't befall her, she will most likely be bagging a medal. That's from the wrestling department. What about, I guess, what will be your take on the?
So Rohit, when you spoke about uh, disasters in contact sports, I would like to bring two heartbreaking stories. One was I don't remember the year, but it was archer Limbaram who reached the finals of the archery round, uh, and till the pre-finals he continued to be the number one. And on the day of the finals, there were strong winds and rain. And this weather factor played such a disaster that then he was not even anywhere near the medal contenders. I mean, anywhere near the medalists in his score. This was one. Again, 2012 Olympics, I remember Joydeep Kormukar. Joydeep Kormukar one of the best medal prospects. While Vijay Kumar, who was not being seen as that strong a medal contender, Vijay Kumar came with a silver, while Joydeep Kormukar having having the best scores globally, he came back without a medal. So that is why. So contact sports, no contact sports, basically you are competing against the best in the world. You might be best in the world already, but on that particular day, those last 10 seconds, those last 15 seconds, what happens is is something that can be unfortunate, and we continue to be unfortunate in Olympics. We have the history of being unfortunate in Olympics for milliseconds repeatedly. So that's how. Sorry, I think I just got dragged into something else, but your pointed question was to something else. If you would just bring it up again.
Uh, so I just underlined the medal winning prospects in wrestling. So according to you, do you you've already summed it up very nicely. There's just one question. I actually didn't. You've already answered it before. Just one question that I'd really like to go ahead and put forward when it comes to wrestling. Do you believe that this year will be the best chance for Vinesh Fogart to go ahead and bag the medal? She has really been working hard. She's been in electrifying form. Like, do you actually believe that this is her stage? This is her stage to win.
This is certainly. I mean, if you look at wrestling for last 12 years or so, we had been doing very well at the global level. Our wrestlers had been doing very well at the global level. And as I said, it's not only Vinesh Fogart, it's all four wrestlers that I mentioned. All of them I see medal contenders. And truly speaking, you would find certain athletes going and returning back with the I mean very marginal performances. But something that I like is that some of these athletes are being athletes, to say, not just from athletics. I'm talking about sports persons in general. Many of them are being given chance, looking at their natural potential, that these people might be our Olympic prospects in the 2024 2028 as well. So that is how you first of all make them compete at the world stage, so that next time they know what they need to prepare for. So that is again another approach which might be very important. So the
Uh,
rest, yes.
I would completely agree on that. That it's not about always about winning medals. It's also about talking about the future, taking a quick look at what can happen in the near future and how exactly to prepare them. Because, uh, like when you perform at such a high level, more than the physical aspect, what you need is the mental aspect. Like what you need more importantly is the mental aspect, because if you are unable, I personally believe, if you're unable to produce those knobs of steel, if you're unable to produce that mentality that will keep you sustained there for a longer period of time, it is very difficult for you to go ahead and bag that medal.
True. Very true.
So going by that, Ananda, what do you believe? Like another medal prospect that I personally believe will be winning it is weightlifter Mirabai Chanu. So how about your take on her?
So Mirabai Chanu has worked very hard over last 4 years. Like last Olympics, she couldn't get a single good lift. In weightlifting, we call it good lift.
Mhm.
Like when you have all the three white lights, it is known as good lift, or at least two white lights, you call it a good lift. So she couldn't get a single good lift, and in the same uh, s- in the same lift that is clean and jerk, she created world record just last month. So that is the amount of hard work she has put in. So this relates to a history of how Milkha Singh had prepared himself for his second Olympics. That something in which he had not even been able to clear the heats. Before going for his second Olympics, he had set world records. So this is again another approach. So why Milkha Singh continues to be a hero is because he he didn't leave any stone unturned before the Olympics. What happened in Olympics might not be the best, and still in Olympics he came fourth and still bettered his personal best. So that is the max an athlete can do, and a sportsman can do. That he or she can just come with the best performance ever in his own category. So that's what Mirabai Chanu continues to be a medal contender. But very importantly, one thing about most of the Chinese sportsmen is that they go into hibernation. They do very long off seasons before Olympics. So you never know where they have prepared, what stage of
Uh,
preparation they are on. So
I guess there's this slight advantage that Mirabai Chanu will be having. That is, China has been allowed to field only 149 kg weightlifter. So that will be acting, I guess, in Mirabai Chanu's advantage. And at the same time, Korea has withdrawn from weightlifting. So I believe that kind of assures a path to the medal for Mirabai Chanu.
I mean, if you look at it from the second Chinese lifter, then that's a heartbreaking story for her. So, but anyways, that doesn't take away any credit from Mirabai Chanu, and we'll be. Thanks for sharing this. I was not aware of this, and this increases our medal prospects. But again, I would have loved to see her crush the Chinese competitions in their strongest sports. Like Chinese are redefining weightlifting with new techniques. Like in clean and jerk, we Indians or globally in clean and jerk, we do split jerks, but the Chinese don't do split jerks; they do squat jerks. So I mean, they have redefined technique in sports that we need to give them.
I guess it comes over with a period of practice. Right now, I guess we are still grappling with the fact that where exactly to go ahead and put the perfection in the clean and in the clean jerk, right? So I don't know exactly. So I am not much of a wet lifter, so I won't be able to go ahead and take any everyone through the tactical details of the same. But again, I believe it will eventually come in, because once we start putting in the amount of perfection in a certain discipline, I guess then the next step comes in, right?
Okay, so I'll just differ a bit, because what happens is that in India, how many how many kids under 14 years age do we see doing weightlifting? We we might see them going to the gym, we might see them going to the akhada, we might see them working out, wrestling, boxing. But when it comes to weightlifting, we generally don't see kids doing snatch, kids doing clean and jerk. So just like any other sports, your muscles, your nervous system needs to be developed from a very young age. So it is a long muscle memory that goes into making you a world champion when you are 22, 23 years old. And then you carry that legacy. And so basically, someone who is ready for a Olympic medal level competition, then basically at 22, 23 years age, then basically you can expect him to perform at that level for next two Olympics as well. So that basically multiplies your chance of winning medals by 2 to 3 times. So that is what has not yet happened in India, that organized sports from a childhood. Even if you look at sports in India at school levels, so in school levels, it's generally concentrated towards the team games, region specific team games. If it is North India, it is hockey, it is basketball, uh, it is what else? It is cricket. If it is in East and in South, to a great extent, it is cricket and football. Okay, in North India, it's kabaddi as well. In Western India, it is kabaddi, it is wrestling. So that is how at school level you are not making world class weightlifters. In schools, you don't have gyms. Even if you have gyms, generally the football team goes there and does their hamstring training just few weeks before the inter school tournaments. So that's how it doesn't work like that. You need to have sports schools, you need to have sports universities for continuous progress, and that's how you get world class champions.
Absolutely agreed. I mean, like you have to develop from a very young age in order to go ahead and reach a level. So now coming over, I guess Dityan will
Okay,
also be very
I'm
interested.
sorry to interrupt. I'll just
No, that's
tell you
okay.
something interesting. That is,
Hmm.
when it comes to sports requiring more agility, like weightlifting is a very agile sport, very fast, very agile. So when you come to these agile sports, then you need to develop the sports persons from even younger age, because those muscles, those joints, those ligaments, those soft tissues, everything needs to adapt to that sports. Otherwise, when all your soft tissues, all your muscles uh, have formed in a certain manner, then you can't expect to become a world class weightlifter unless you are genetically blessed. Some people are genetically blessed. Some people and some things need to be developed, need to be evolved over a period of time.
What can we expect from shooting and hockey? I've talked a lot about weightlifting and wrestling. Let's talk about shooting and hockey.
I want Rohit to speak on both of them.
Uh, thank you so much, Arunda.
No, certainly.
Talking about
Basically, I would draw my cues from what you say. That's how.
Okay. So, talking about shooting, India will look forward to the duo of Saurabh Chaudhary and Manu Bhakar. Again, Saurabh Chaudhary will be my personal favorite because I kind of am assured of the fact that he is going to bag a medal, but then again, you do not know what happens on the day of the final. But again, He has been in top form. So has been Manu Bhakar as well. Another important name will be Ilanabil Valerian. It's kind of expected that the 10-meter air rifle belongs to that guy, belongs to him for that medal. I am kind of expecting a gold from him. But again, these are like moments of fortune. These are like moments of madness. So that is something that I would expect from the shooting department. There's another name that I like to mention, but I don't think he can go on to win the medal. But I'm pretty sure he's going to give in a tough competition, and that is Divyan Singh Panwar. So is it Panwar? I'm not too confirmed about the name, but it's the first two names are Divyan Singh. I'm pretty sure of that. So this guy, he is a very promising guy, and he has been doing well recently. But again, doing well recently and delivering at your top notch in the Olympics level with such high competition, it's kind of very challenging. Now coming to the hockey department, this time we can expect a medal a medal match for India, but I'm not pretty sure that whether India will be able to go ahead and bag that medal. There are various reasons for the same. Playing in the FIH World Hockey League, it has kind of improved India's hockey structure over the past few years. India has been doing in a decent way. However, at the same time, try and understand the dominance that we Indians used to have at one point in time. That dominance is long gone. That dominance is absolutely long gone, and I personally do not think that India has a chance to revive that dominance right away. However, there are a few names in India that stokes a lot of hopes for me. One of them is definitely Shrijesh. Shrijesh has been there for quite some time now. And another man who is not actually a part of the team, but who is the mastermind of the team, that is Graham Reed. Graham Reed is a very dynamic coach. I really like the way he makes the team play, he makes the team coordinate. Along with that, exposure to this World Hockey League will be helping India a lot. But again, try and understand in the group fixtures of India that right now India has at the moment, they have got to clear. Exactly, they have got to clear New Zealand and Spain. In fact, despite the fact that Spain has been very bumpy, but that doesn't mean that you can write up Spain. Spain is actually someone who's way superb. Now, let's say India clears the group stages, then they may be up against Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, or Great Britain. Netherlands is right now electrifying. You cannot defy Netherlands. You cannot defy the dominance and the superiority that the Dutch is bringing into this game.
Having issues
with Rohit. So that is some.
Yeah.
Okay, am I audible now? Am I audible now?
Rohit,
Yeah, so
you have been audible continuously. I think our moderator is having some issue with his internet, but he doesn't acknowledge as such.
So I just again go through the group stages. So in group stages, India will have to India will have to face Spain and New Zealand. Now Spain has been very bumpy, but Spain is definitely one team to watch out for because you see they are very dynamic, they are very explosive, and at the same time New Zealand, I guess they have been. I wouldn't say they have been absolutely brilliant. They have been scintillating, but they are a very tough contender. Now let's say India clears the group stages. Now what comes forward is an even bigger challenge. Either it's Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, or the Great Britain. Now if Netherlands come into the picture, I believe India's medal dream goes for a toss then and there. Because right now the form that Netherlands is in, the quality, the gentry of the game that the Dutch has brought onto the field, it is extremely difficult to challenge their superiority. And especially with teams like India. So currently what I would actually mention is, this Indian team, they need to have a proper leader. They are somewhere lacking out on the leading expertise. Like I believe the best leader India had in this century, in fact, in the 21st century, and that was almost in his twilight days, and that was this guy, Pillai, Dhanraj Pillai. So I believe that team, the dynamicity that team had, that included Dhanraj Pillai, and then Yuvraj Singh. I'm forgetting the goalkeeper's name, and he was a very dynamic goalkeeper. If we can combine this team's talent, this is a very talented Indian team. But this team is somewhere, there are two things that this team needs to build on. That is, one of them is that explosiveness. like when you are on the field, you need to be explosive. Now, what do I mean by being explosive? It doesn't mean you have to hit everyone with the hockey stick. No, not something like that. But even if you are going down by your goal, you will need to have that mental courage, that mental will to go forward and keep on, like fighting back, keep on attacking. Maybe you will not be hitting the back of the net, but at least come close to scoring, keep the opposition on your toes. That kind of explosiveness is lacking in India. Once they go, like once they start trailing, I have seen this team actually cowering down in front of the opposition. This is one thing. Another important thing that they have missed out on, and that is, I guess, that is which is more important to me. That is somewhere down the line, I personally believe they are giving out, they are squandering a lot of set piece opportunities. India's conversion rate in penalty corners has been very low, surprisingly, in the last few years. Now, that is something which India needs to work on, because these are opportunities, these are golden opportunities. You cannot afford to lose on them. I understand it's difficult, but your conversion rate needs to be really high. I'm not able to quote the exact figure, but if I can lay my hands on it, I'll definitely give you the figure of the conversion that India has been doing for the last few years. But it has been actually it has been something which has been woeful, to be honest. But again, you never know. These are like moments of madness. We never know who comes up. We can never believe what comes up. We can only keep that hope. As Indians, we will hope that India once again regains a medal. India once again regains that platform that used to be there. But hope is a very dangerous thing. That's all. I guess I'd like Amber to take over from here.
So just imagine that had the Latin American footballers not played in Europe, where European football would be. So basically, European clubs spent money, bought the best of the Latin American footballers to Europe, learned their weaknesses, and started contesting them. So that's how I look at the Indian hockey leagues. That we brought the best of the players to India. We played with them. We learned their weaknesses, and more importantly, we learned their strengths as well. And there had been a cultural shift in how we play hockey. Like as you said, that in the late 90s, it's very true that we had the most talented team who could thrash anyone on their days. But that consistency was not there. We were not that methodical. Every year there used to be a new coach. So those things have changed a lot. Now we are much more methodical. Like we can't beat the Europeans with speed and strength. Therefore, we need to slow down the game. So when we need to slow down the game, then we need to have other strengths for ourselves. We need to build up on those strengths more instead of trying to counter the Europeans continuously, the Oceanians continuously in power game. So we can't beat them in power game. So that is what being realistic is. So if I look at how the South Korean teams used to play till few years back, like they were just being agile. They were not trying to push or play powerful hockey. So they were just being agile. They were being very quick, very short passes. So knowing your weakness, actually you can work better on your strength. So that is something I had seen happening with Indian hockey over last few years, and things had been pretty good according to me. So as I often say that don't look at the result, but enjoy the process. So this had been this had been a good thing that had happened to the Indian hockey, and I see long-term future if things go on these lines. Moreover, they had been playing good number of international tournaments. Otherwise, if you see some 15-20 years back, it used to be they were basically either playing the
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 World
World
Cup or
Cup
the
or the
Champions Trophy.
Olympics. Pardon?
The World Cup, Olympics, and the Champions Trophy.
World Cup, Olympics, Champions Trophy, and the World Cup qualifiers and the Olympics qualifiers. In case okay, plus the Asian
We
Games.
also had a hockey league in India.
We still have a hockey league in India.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I
so
thought
that is what we had been talking about. That how the Indian Hockey League has brought in the players from other countries and learned their weaknesses and made them less confident.
So that will be your hockey take. Now I am really interested. So since Diptan he asked me about two sports, about shooting. What do you think will be India's prospects at shooting?
Shooting again, few sports like boxing, shooting, and
Wrestling.
wrestling. These three games we had been doing pretty well. Again, not looking at the number of medals, but looking at the number of final 8 positions that we had been getting. So we had been doing pretty well in last 10-12 years. So that had been a continuous process, and it's good how things have evolved. Uh, like if it is Asian Games or if it is Commonwealth, then you might argue that we do very well there. Why do we lose our nerves? It's not about losing your nerves, but basically who are you competing with? When you are competing in Commonwealth, then you don't have much competitors in wrestling. You don't have much competitors in weightlifting. So you bring home good number of medals, because the countries who dominate these sports, who take all the 3 medals, these countries are not participating in Commonwealth in these games. Like Chinese are not coming to compete with you in Commonwealth. Again, when you come to Asian Games, then you are not competing against the Russians, you are not competing against the Americans, you are not competing uh, b- uh, against the African long distance runners. So again, in Asian Games also you continue doing well in athletics, in boxing, in Commonwealth as well as in Asian Games. You are not competing against Cuba. You are not competing against Brazil. So that is how you are not competing against the world champions. That is why it's not about losing your nerves or anything. It doesn't take away any credit from your end. You continue to be in the top 8, top 6, top 5 in the world. But here you are actually competing against the top 3 in the world. So that's where we lose out on medals, in spite of doing well, on an average, doing well in all these competitions, Commonwealth and Asian Games.
So I guess Diptan that kind of answers all your query about shooting and boxing, if I'm not mistaken.
let's talk about Neeraj Chopra.
Okay.
So
So,
Ananda, would you like to go first? Yeah.
I think Neeraj Chopra is the best thing to have happened in Indian athletics in last 20-25 years. Yes, a trend was set. A trend was being set in the Indian throw arena since, say, late 90s. It was Shakti Singh, Bahadur Singh, Anil Kumar. All these people were actually ruling the Asian throwing arenas. Continuously, they had been winning medals at the Asian Games. But then came another paradigm shift when we had a discus thrower by the name of Vikas Gowda. Vikas Gowda continues to hold the Indian record in discus throw. So Vikas Gowda had amazing international exposure, and that's how Vikas Gowda was the first discus thrower from India to be amongst the final eight. I think he ranked fifth, or no, he didn't rank fifth. I think he ranked eighth, maybe something between fifth or eighth in the London Olympics. So that was a changing phase as to how Indians look at the throw events. So during the era of Shakti Singh and Bahadur Singh in the late 90s, it used to be more and more power sports. When Anil Kumar came, then Anil Kumar, then there was another javelin thrower, Fazal Ansari, who was the first one to be throwing at 80 meters range. So these were the athletes who were very thin, very fast, very ruthless throwers, and they were changing the trend as to how can you be a good thrower being lean and fast. So that is now setting the context that if you see most of the throwers today, these throwers are. I'm not talking about all the throwers. I'm not talking about Tejinder Toor. Shot put is an event you can't be thin and continue to win. Shot put, hammer throw. These events actually require a bit of body weight because of obvious reasons. It requires body weight because these events have more of uh, involvement of power in comparison to discus throw and javelin throw. So now Neeraj Chopra, Shivpal Singh, all these people, they are actually very capable people, and they had been in the right hands continuously. There's another javelin thrower called Anu Rani. She continues to be doing very well, though I don't see her being a medal prospect, but she continues to be doing very well in women's javelin. Then again we have two discus throwers in women's category participating. One is Kamalpreet Kaur, I think, and
Yeah.
another is Seema Punia. So Seema Punia used to be Seema until before her marriage, and she was the junior world champion during her days in discus throw. So just as it happens that we had lot of amazing talent at junior levels, which didn't click because of various reasons, because of uh, not the best of the world level coaching, not the best of the world level facilities, lack of international competitions continuously. So these things matter. So Seema, until since last 20 years almost, had been competing at the world level. So we need to give her that credit. And Kamalpreet Kaur being very young and having done everything correctly so far. I don't see medals from them, but being in the final eight for them would give me a lot of hope for the forthcoming Olympics, not just this Olympics. Okay, when it comes to Neeraj, I parked it for a while because Neeraj Chopra is just 23, 24 years old with immense talent, doing all correct thing under one of the world champion coaches. So I expect a lot from Neeraj Chopra. I don't see anyone continuously throwing above 86 meters mark uh, since last 6 years. So since last 6 years, if you see in competition someone throwing continuously above 86 meters mark, why that is important? You might look at 90, 91, 92 meters that others have thrown at that range. But if I see someone who had been throwing so many throws between 86 and 88 meters range, that means he has already consolidated there. So now just waiting to see the final burst out. So as it happens on the Olympic competition day, anything can happen. So I expect a lot, and very importantly, Neeraj is time tested. He had proved himself that he had he had thrown very well at international circuit continuously. So he doesn't. International competition is nothing new to him. So I'm not talking merely at Asian Games or Commonwealth, but even in the European circuit competitions, he had thrown very well. He had continuously thrown over 86 meters. So if you look at the latest trend as well, even in last 3 months, he had thrown twice above 88 meters. So these are great indicators. These are very positive indicators, and you can expect certainly. To me, he continues to be amongst the top medal contenders. So that's about it. I think
There's
we
this
are yet to.
one thing I'm
Yes.
really like to put forward with everything that Ananda said. Another important factor that will act in favor of Neeraj Chopra, that is the defending Olympic champion Thomas Strela has already pulled out, and so has Magnus Kort. So do you think that will also be a bit of fortune coming Neeraj's way?
Uh, so what I had seen for throw events, there are two aspects that people like Neeraj Chopra are very agile throwers. So they depend on lot on their speed, their frequencies. While there are many throwers at world levels who depend a lot on their power. So there is a kind of difference in both these approaches, that people who depend more on agility, they perform better when they are younger, and now when they get older and they lose some bit of agility, then they look at increasing their power. And then, because if you are throwing with power, your chances of injury is less. So this is a sustainable approach. So what Neeraj has had been doing is actually a sustainable approach. That while you are young, then you need to use your agility more, because from agility you can graduate to power, but from power it is very difficult to graduate to agility. So that's how I see that Neeraj had been doing all correct things. Plus, if you look at the other throwers, I mean, irrespective of who was world champion 4 years back, it doesn't matter, because in 4 years, people after 4 years, he is competing against those people who are not even there. So for even for him, the competition is new. So I don't think it takes away anything from Neeraj, or it adds any value to Neeraj, because you never know these countries who depend a lot on modern sports science. You never know if a Chinese missile had been developed in last 3 4 years undercover, who had just been competing while while rest of the world had been looking at a 90 meters range. This guy would have been practicing for 100 meters range. So with the scientifically evolved countries, you never know where the competition might be going. But yes, it gradually, if you see the countries who had been dominating the throw arena, to say the Russians, the Germans, the other Soviet countries, Lithuania, Poland, then Czech Republic. So these countries will continue to give the best of the throwers in their own traditional manner.
Thank you, Ananda. So, Diptan, what will be your next take on this? I mean, do you
Okay,
believe that this can be Neeraj Chopra's year?
it can be. Let's see. कल से शुरू होने वाला है ओलंपिक्स, अब देखते हैं क्या होता है. So what do you think about Mary Kom this year?
Very good question. I personally believe, like Ananda has previously stated, boxing, wrestling, these are India's events. Okay, so believe me, Mary Kom has been performing at a consistent level for a while now. Well, definitely she has got a bit rusty because of her age. Okay, I believe she is almost 36 or 37, if I'm not so mistaken. But that again, saying that, you see, like Ananda very nicely put about the throwers, like the two approaches that they take. One is agility, and the other one is, like
Power.
putting on that
Power.
weight throw. So
Power.
at the same as a power. So at the same time, it's something similar to boxing as well. So boxing is defined by two kinds of boxing. Well, there has been several boxers who have taken the sport, but if I take two names for you, boxing is defined in that way. One is where you torture your opponent, and one is where you put your opponent straight away out of your misery. The one that I'm talking about right now is taking out your opponent straight out of that person's misery, and that is Mike Tyson kind of boxing. You knock your opponent out with that one punch. Next comes in is you're tormenting your opponent. That's Muhammad Ali. You keep on going ahead, dancing with the opponent, and you throw in your jabs whenever you want to. Make that opponent sweat. So I personally believe right now, Mary Kom will be relying a lot on power. She will be looking forward to go ahead and get that because according to her, going ahead toe to toe with continuously fighting all those rounds can be a bit of challenging for her. But again, like the athlete or like the sports person that Mary Kom is, I believe she'll definitely find a way to take a detour and finally reach that final round. So I have a lot of hope from Mary Kom because she has been, like I said, she has been absolutely brilliant. Now comes Amit Pangal. Amit Pangal has been, he's been brilliant. He's been a lightning. He's been electrifying. The way he moves, the way he dances in the ring, the way he throws his punches, it's like it's something which is actually a treat for the boxing fans to watch. And at the same time, Amit Pangal is also very young. So he has the opportunity, even like, see, if he doesn't go ahead and win a medal, I will definitely not be disheartened. But where will I be disheartened if he is not fighting at his full potential? This guy really has a lot of potential in him to go ahead and take the long route to success. So I personally believe he will be one of India's primary prospects. And at the same time, goes for Mary Kom. Another important name will be Lovlina Borgoin. Now, this is something, again, Lovlina Borgoin has been working tremendously over the last over the last few months. Like she has been putting in all the efforts that she, like that can be done. And I expect that she will be a major challenge, another major medal winning prospect. But my money's bet will be totally on Amit and Mary Kom. And the remainder probably will be, I'll be rooting more for the brilliance inside the ring than counting or waiting for the medal to come home.
So I have a different take on this. Like if you talk about endurance for extra number of rounds. So basically in Olympics you have 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 rounds for men, and 2 minutes, 4 rounds for women. So it's unlike professional boxing, wherein you continue with 3 minutes round back to back till the time you have someone dropping down. So here, Mary Kom had been more of an endurance athlete that I had seen so far, and uh, with age with age actually your endurance improves. If you see all the long distance runner, this has got nothing to do with boxing, but in general endurance as a physical phenomena of your body, if I look at it, all the long distance runners, they had been giving out their best performances at the later stage of their life, when they are way above 30 years, mid 30s, even almost reaching 40s. So that is how endurance is something that improves over a period of time, because with your maturity, with your experience, you get lot of more control over your body, over your breathing. So that is one thing. Second thing is your technical improvement. When you are young, then you are raw, then you are trying to improve everything. But as you mature, as you uh, grow professionally in sports, you know exactly what all specific things you need to do to be up at that level. So I feel that there might be a different approach to what Rohit just mentioned. There might be a different approach of Mary Kom. I think she would be more defensive in this Olympics, would be more defensive and looking for the right opportunity to to do best of her punches. Inst- uh, like being attacking would take more energy, would drain a boxer faster. That is how I'm looking at. So this is about Marycom. Now coming back to, so I was just about to take the name of Lovelina Buragohai, that she had been phenomenal. She has she has a great reach. She is very fast, very smooth, great reach. Everything is great with her so far that I have seen her. And uh, like if she gets a medal, don't be surprised. If she gets a gold, don't be surprised. So basically, she has everything that is required. Now, how she delivers on the day of the bout is something else. Maybe she is too young. Maybe she is little inexperienced than the others. But like having everything right, you have good chances with her. Now coming to Amit Fangal. Amit Fangal is the best boxer I have seen in last 20-25 years. So he continues for me. He continues to be the gold medal contender. Even a silver medal will be heartbreaking for me. That is how I'm looking at it. And Manish Kaushik, look out for Manish Kaushik as well. There is another boxer in the female category, that is Simranjit Kaur. So Simranjit Kaur is again someone who is capable of upsetting not you and me but the opponent. So so be prepared for multiple medals in boxing as well. It doesn't come, but I personally will watch out for all these five.
So how many medals are you expecting? Pick a number.
See, so had it been cricket, then speaking a number and putting your hard on earned money on that number actually can give you great dividends. But this is not cricket. This is not going to give me any dividend. So why should I put my reputation at stake by by speaking on a number?
No, no, no. Just pick a number. Just a prediction.
So prediction to say I'm expecting I'm expecting 10 plus medals this Olympics. But more importantly, I'm expecting 20 people in the final eight.
Rohitda, can we talk about archery?
Good point. I was just waiting for you to go ahead and pick this up. This is another Masters medal winning prospect for India, especially with the appearance of Deepika Kumari. She has been totally dominant. Now, again, uh, in the World Cup, try and understand that that's something different. But when you come to the Olympics, the level of competition completely changes. So another important aspect that will be the mixed team that will be fielded, the mixed team of Deepika Kumari and Atanu Das. So it's basically the husband-wife chemistry which will be up for display as well. Now, we haven't seen a mixed team event previously in archery, but I personally believe that it will be on banking upon Deepika Kumari that I can say that she does deserve a medal, at least in the individual event. Another important thing is the men's recurve team. I'm not pretty sure that they are going to bag a medal, but at the same time, I personally believe that they have an outside chance of at least making it to that final round and going ahead and fighting for that medal. But once again, my money will entirely be on Deepika Kumari because she is just so confident. If you ever see her when she's in that event, the confidence, the calm, the repose, the panache that she shows, that is exemplary. And that is exactly what makes her that good of a performer at such a high level. And that is why I have really got high hopes from Deepika.
Okay, so how many medals are you expecting?
How many medals? Once again, I don't think I can go ahead and pick a definite number, but I will be expecting. I'll be expecting somewhere in the double digits.
Okay. Very importantly, see, as I was telling you all, that don't look at a particular Olympics. Don't look at the number of medals we are looking for. Look out again for future stars, because you will have people here who have come just to compete, not looking at the medals, because they may be the future stars, and there are people who are not yet representing, but they are going to be the future stars. So even in long jump, you can watch out for Sri Shankar, who had been jumping around 8.20 meters at a very young age continuously. So very intelligent guy, very sharp, very agile, and mentally very strong. He knows what he wants, and that's how it is. So watch out for him. Plus, watch out for Jeremy Ralte. So Jeremy is a weightlifter from Mizoram. He created junior world record 2-3 years back in weightlifting. So he continues to be a future medal prospect for me, not for just one Olympics, but he is a long-term asset for Indian sports. So Jeremy is another. You can look out for Shivpal Singh. Shivpal Singh will continue to be the next star javelin thrower after Neeraj Chopra. He had again been throwing above 85 meters multiple times. So good prospects to come up. Plus one more that I am just forgetting. Anyways, so apart from whom you watch out for this Olympics, keep watching these people as well. So next 2 Olympics, you can expect medals from these people as well.
So again, adding on to
just missed out. I'm so sorry, Rohit, to cut you short.
It's okay. It's all right. It's perfectly fine.
So watch out for Tejaswin Shankar. Tejaswin Shankar is an Indian decathlete, presently doing his graduation in US from one of the universities in Kansas, and he had been doing phenomenally well there in the university championships. In spite of being a decathlete, he has already started doing wonders in high jump. There might be a change in his event in the days to come, wherein he finally decides to make high jump his main event. So advantage of decathlon is that you actually have a long time to choose finally which event you want to continue. So watch out for these 4 people. These are future medal prospects for at least next 2 Olympics.
Adding to Ananda's note, this is an honest request to all the fans who will be watching India perform at the Olympics. Please do not keep on screaming that the medal is the ultimatum. The medal is not the ultimatum. There's a lot of sacrifice, there's a lot of effort, there's a lot of belief that is placed in this entire journey until here. Please try and understand that it's not about winning the medal straight away. It's about also preparing stars for the future, like Ananda has been consistently saying. You see, winning a medal probably will make you proud in the world stage right now, but you can also be staring at a dead piece of darkness in the future. And that is something which is not right. India has just started winning the medals in this century. So we will have to start rooting for them more. We will have to start promoting them more. We will have to acknowledge the amount of efforts, the amount of belief, the amount of heroic acts that they have been pulling off. That is what will give them the confidence. If we can cheer for them like when we cheer for India when they are playing a cricket match, I believe this will give them a massive boost. And that is what will help Indians to go ahead and pursue the sport. Because try and understand, until and unless we fans cheer for something, the companies that, like Arunda was saying, Olympic Gold Coast, they do not come together just for the sake of it. Even they have a take from this. Now, this take can only come in when we, as viewers, come into the picture, because that is what generates the ideal revenue for them. So, this is an entire process. This is a very long and a broad process, and the fundamental of fueling this process is our support. It's our belief in our Olympic, our Olympic athletes or Olympic sports persons. Just believe in the stars. If not today, believe me, India has staring at a very bright future in the forthcoming days to come.
Exactly. We wish the Indian contingent all the best. एंड हम सबको आशा है कि वो लोग हमें प्राउड फील कराएं. थैंक यू अयन दा, थैंक यू रोहित दा, इट्स बीन एन प्लेजर. फिर से मुलाकात होंगे आप लोग सबके साथ. थैंक यू.
Take care, everyone, and
Okay,
looking forward to the next catch up.
Absolutely,
where we celebrate-
absolutely.
Where we celebrate every win, not just medals. Every
Sure.
every heats wins, every quarterfinal wins. We celebrate everything.
Absolutely.